Bitcoin to me is fine. In Ethereum is fine. It's more the question of what happens when you have to have quarterly reports from some of these. When the books get opened on some of these crap coins and you get to see behind the curtain.
When prices are rallying, it's like a piranha's feeding frenzy. Everyone wants a piece of the action. At this point, people aren't really thinking deeply. All they see are the greens on the charts, and they just want to make some money. While this type of situation is a good time to profit, it's also a time when you can lose all of your money, down to the last dime. That's why smart investors are subscribed to this channel. What are you waiting for? Tap that subscribe button now. First, Gareth Soloway talks about the great danger cryptocurrencies such as Dogecoin pose.
And this is something I struggle with is when you're dealing with crypto, and I traded in the beginning of my career through the .com bubble, and I watched, penny stocks go up hundreds of percentage points almost daily, just like Doge did, just like SHIB, just like so many of these other ones. So for me, it's hard to imagine how we could be at a end of the bear market cycle in crypto without a bigger washout of these crap coins, right? Of so many of these basically zero utility coins. And so, that's something that I struggle with, is where I'm like, listen, if the mental cycle, the psychology of investors drove the .coms, it drove the crypto markets, and you haven't seen that. People are still buying NFTs. People are still buying, these crap coins, expecting them to go back up. And one of the things I keep on watching for too is the regulation, right? When do we see the regulation be unveiled for the crypto markets from the SEC? We're seeing, I think Binance got sued recently. There's so many different lawsuits that are being pushed out, but I want to know the regulation. For me, that's one of the reasons why I can't put a ton of money in Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency yet. I certainly have small dabblings. I do swing trades. But for me, it's like, okay, well, if you don't know the rules of the game, how do you play that game, right? Bitcoin to me is fine. In Ethereum is fine. It's more the question of what happens when you have to have quarterly reports from some of these. When the books get opened on some of these crap coins and you get to see behind the curtains, what does that do to some of them? Does that cause a panic? Do we see maybe that's one of the reasons a lot of these will go away. Maybe all of a sudden you get this type of pull the curtains back, and then investors are finally like, wait a minute, there's nothing there.
The SEC has also announced that regulating emerging technologies and crypto assets is one of its 2023 priorities. This is surely going to cause a huge crypto wipeout. A lot of cryptos that aren't backed by solid projects could face extinction. We've already seen regulators force some exchanges to delist some cryptos in the past. This can still happen on a massive scale. The SEC Investor Advisory Committee supports Chairman Gensler's efforts to regulate crypto, but asks for more guidance and clarity for investors and market participants. We don't yet know exactly what these guidelines are going to be. The committee also recommends collaboration with other regulators and stakeholders to develop a coherent and consistent regulatory framework for crypto assets. The statement comes amid recent enforcement actions taken by the SEC against Kraken and Paxos for offering unregistered securities in the form of staking services and stablecoins. In a recent interview with SEC Commissioner Hester Peirce, who's known as Crypto Mom for her supportive stance on crypto innovation, Peirce says that the SEC hasn't provided enough guidance for NFT creators and that they should be careful in this ambiguous environment. She also criticizes the SEC for using enforcement actions instead of clear rules to define what constitutes security. She says that some NFTs may be securities depending on how they're sold and marketed, and that the SEC could easily provide more clarity if it wanted to. The article also mentions that the SEC is reportedly investigating Yuga Labs, the company behind the popular Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT collection, for possible securities violations. It's therefore important that investors are careful investing in any project or crypto at this time. But what about Bitcoin? Is it safe to say that the rally would be sustained as the coin is finally back over $30,000? Gareth answers that next.
So basically, at least for me on the charts, this was resistance right here around this 28,700 level, right? We kept on piercing it, and then finally we've moved it through it. So what's interesting is, and you know this from technical analysis, is when you break resistance, it now becomes support. So now on the way back down, let's say it gets rejected at this 30 and change level, this now becomes support. If it gets through there, then this level now becomes support. So there's a bunch of supports that were established because of all this sideways consolidation. So it's going to take a hefty sell to get us back through that. That's where things get more interesting. If we do get rejected and we get through this area, you then start trading towards the 25,000 level, and eventually you can retest some of these lower levels. But for me, yeah, I mean, right now, I'm a trader that is very focused level by level. So I'm looking to see, okay, well, what happens here at 30,000 and change level? And if it gets rejected, do we break this level? If it breaks, well, then the next level is right here. And I'm just kind of a step-by-step trader in that respect. And again, that's part of the shorter term mindset of what I do. It's just like, okay, that's been broken. Now you look for the next one. And if that one doesn't get broken, then you look and kind of focus on that.
Bitcoin, the most popular and valuable cryptocurrency in the world, has soared above the $30,000 mark for the first time since June of 2022. The digital currency hit a new high of $30,368 on April 8, 2023, more than doubling its value since the start of the year. The rally was fueled by several factors, such as growing adoption by institutional and retail investors, innovation and development in the crypto industry, regulatory clarity and support from some governments, and increased demand for alternative assets amid the global economic turmoil. However, investors should be wary of the risks and challenges that Bitcoin faces. Bitcoin is still a highly volatile and speculative asset, and it can experience sharp price movements in both directions. The cryptocurrency has encountered several hurdles and setbacks along its journey to $30,000. Moreover, Bitcoin is likely to face some selling pressure and profit-taking at this level, as some traders may want to lock in their gains or diversify their portfolios. According to some analysts, Bitcoin may test some lower levels before resuming its upward trend. For example, CoinDesk's Bitcoin Price Index, XBX, shows that Bitcoin has strong support at around $22,000. If Bitcoin fails to hold above this level, it could drop further to $20,000 or even $18,000.
The next big level for me would be this area here, this kind of retrace to this area where you have these lows connected to these lows. And that actually brings us to maybe, kind of the best case scenario for me would be a move up to 44,000, at least in the near term. So that would be the bull case. To me, again, I look at this bigger chart, and this happens to be the midpoint of this M pattern, and you can even see the A on this chart, right? Here's your M, and then here was your little A pattern. So it's a classic MA pattern, and then this is just a retrace to that middle point, which is so common. Like if you could look at stock charts, commodity charts, all these charts, when you get this pattern, and it retraces, this tends to be a major stopping point in the retrace of the bounce. And also, just one thing, and I'll just point this out before you say something here, is that the other thing to look at too is, the bullish sentiment in Bitcoin is bothersome to me, because I've never known something to make a bottom where people get so bullish so quickly. And that's also something that kind of concerns me. And when you look at this bigger chart, right, it's a great bounce, don't get me wrong. Bitcoin's up 100% off the lows. But let's not forget, in 2018, we hit 3,500 and we bounced back 300% to like 10,000. And that was still a bear market. We still, ultimately stayed in the lower ranges for quite some time before we really broke out.
For now, we keep our fingers crossed as cryptocurrencies continue to rally. But it's important to remember that this is a bear market rally, so invest with caution. If you don't want to lose out on the big uptakes in the market, be sure to subscribe to the channel now. And of course, don't forget to hit that like button.